Freaking go. Hey, no worries about losing the 3K last night because we're back at it with baseball today. We got golf going on if it ever stops raining out there. And it's going to be a fun one, man. I've got my stacks ranked. I posted my, I mentioned I'm going to do like a real quick, like, hey, what to expect from us. We're usually going to do a preview video for a main slate, and we'll also do the live before lock. But when it's just an early slate, or if the majority of the games are early, we probably will just go live then. And some days, instead of posting stuff on the site because there's some crossover with basketball and NBA and MLB right now, I'll just immediately deposit all my core plays, my early builds into the premium MLB channel. So make sure that you're in our premium MLB channel. I already know that you are because I'm looking at it right now and it's been popping off all morning. Rhodey's in there talking to everybody. Rhodey's got his core plays up, his stacks and his leverage stacks and everything. It's great stuff. I'm excited to be back. Sheets, what do you think about it? What do you got going on in this slate?
Well, you know what? We didn't do an MLB preview video, which I wish we had, but we ran out of time, I guess. So there's
one on Tuesday, unfortunately, with SaberSim. It was my fault for the scheduling.
Yeah, but even for the SaberSim, I mean, it's like a different baseball game this year. With the rule changes, and you have the shift no longer existing. So all these lefties that got basically just screwed for like 3 seasons, are going to have a chance to get some hits, that aren't home runs. Now again, we don't want that necessarily for DFS, but it's better than freaking just lining out to the second baseman who's standing all the way in right field. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then like all the different things that'll contribute to stolen base upside. From the first of all, from the bases being bigger for openers. I mean, they made the bases like 3 inches bigger.
Yeah.
And that's going to increase stolen bases and just beating hits out in the first place. Not to mention the throw over rule, which is its own form of cruelty, and the requirement that a pitcher pitches within 15 seconds or 20 seconds, regardless of whether he's tired or he needs, to whatever, So it's I think there's going to be a lot more offense this year, and I think it's going to be a lot more kind of like traditional offense, like moving runners and hitting into gaps and stuff like that. I don't think people are gonna guys like Joey Gallo. I think don't have to bat 140 with 35 home runs. You know what I mean? Try to get 35 home runs.
Although he still might, but yeah.
Although he still might, but it's interesting. And what I'm also kind of interested in when we go through these games is for your takes on some of these. You're always good with the 2K guys, like the 2K guys that I've never heard of, but like are like number 1 rated guys. You know what I mean? Like you're usually good at figuring out because you reminded me like either last season or season before that these guys like always get there. These guys always smash. Like the guys that you're expecting to smash coming up from the minor leagues, they just always seem to smash.
Always do.
So yeah, when you get guys that are like 2K that you just know are going to be 4,700 within like 3 months. You just got to start playing them, I think. So I'm curious.
I feel like baseball's become sort of a little bit similar to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't grow up as a golf person, golf kid, although I was a little bit of a tennis kid. I was a kid who played tennis quite a bit, fairly competitively, but not, stopped when I was like 13, 14. But you see there's so much training and there's so much out there, and it's just like everybody's really entrenched. When a top guy's coming up, they're going to be good. You know what I mean? It's not like you have these huge busts very often in these sports. There's some. But baseball has become like that because the training is caught up. And anybody who has baseball in their lives, I've got a ton of cousins who played very competitive baseball, and they're all between like 15 and 25. But all of them basically they'll tell you they live and breathe this stuff. These prospects are always not always. They're like a 90% hit rate. It's pretty incredible. Whereas it used to be in baseball like a 5% hit rate for if you thought you had a stud. It's like literally like a 90% hit rate.
Dude, I mean, like right off the bat, like in the first game, and not to like transition like unwillingly, but when I was coaching basketball, I had this kid on my team for 5 years, and every once in a while he said, "Oh, this is my best friend XYZ," and he says, "Oh, he plays baseball," I mean, whatever it is. dude, that freaking guy who I met like whatever at these AU basketball games is the starting shortstop for the freaking Yankees. Like Anthony Volpe is like a kid on my team's like one of his like best friends, you know, and he's like starting.
He's like literally the most talked about guy in baseball.
Yeah. So I guess we should just continue to just do it the way we always do. Just go game by game, and we'll get.
Do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. I'll share my screen, and I didn't update. These lineups are old that I put in.
And we have a very weird thing on the DraftKings main slate. I want to point out the San Diego game. Just is worth noting. Every other game starts at 4:10 Eastern time. San Diego starts at 9:40 Eastern time. Okay.
Oh, so there's a late night hammer.
The late night hammer of like a really late night hammer.
It's like you know what it is. It's like not even an island game. It's like the Gilligan's Island game. It's like so far out. You know what I mean? Like it's.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Maybe we should coin that one. That's not bad, actually.
That's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, and what you're looking for. Look, we're going to talk about it as we go through the things. We want warm weather. We want wind blowing out. Obviously, all those things help. But we want warm weather. Like that's the real thing. Like playing these stacks in these 40-degree temperatures are just a little bit tough unless you're talking about in Boston or New York. Because those stadiums are literally, we're used to it for those stadiums, and those stadiums are small enough where you can still get the home run power you're looking for. But as you said, I think we're going to see as the season goes on that it becomes more of a stolen base game. All right, talking about the first game here, we have Cole and Webb sheets.
I have to say again, this is our own fault because I forgot we never did a preview. There is a video I put out on at least how to use some of the tools on TrueDFS up there. We're going to do a SaberSim video like sometime this next week, and we're going to have that up there as well. But something again for those of you that are that I don't say haven't played baseball before, that have been like just grinding the NBA like all season. Remember, this is the way results distribute in baseball is it just a completely different animal from like basketball and even from football. Like baseball, remember, is just you put a median projection up there, it's like terrific. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like it helps, but the way results distribute, it's like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 29. Like 0, 0, 0, 0 for the hitters, like 0, 0, 0, 40. And it's important to remember that, and fortunately I play these other sports, so I know what it's like, with like hockey and League of Legends and stuff like that, where it's just like nonstop correlation and you can get zeros if your other guys get zeros. But if you've only been focusing on the NBA, you have to like expand your mind a little bit about like about what's possible. You can't just say, XYZ is a good hitting team. They're facing a pitcher that's not great. Let's just play them, even though they're going to be 40% owned. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't work that way. I mean, right. Playing like high owned stacks in baseball, especially with like high owned pitchers, is almost like throwing money away. Unless you have like a real big exception.
As a general rule of thumb, you're absolutely right. Like now, that doesn't mean you can't mix in. And like one thing I like to do often, like which is just going into a little bit of strategy. Again, we'll do the one with SaberSim coming up. But part of my strat, I do a little more 4-2-2s, a little more 3-3-2s, and that kind of thing, especially when it's uneven slates, not full slates, and things like that. Yeah. But one thing that I like to do is even if I'm going to do a 5-3, take if you're going to play the popular team, play them as a 3-man stack, and then use a less popular team for the 5-man stack. You know what I mean? Simple little things like that make a big difference. Like Atlanta today, or Minnesota today. Those are clearly, they seem like obviously two of the top, if not the two top stacks around. But because of the ownership, I'm okay with using little 3-mans from there. But I would not like to go full 5-man with either of those teams right off the bat. That's the way I would treat it. Sort of like my Colorado theory.
So let's start off. I'll start off with the easy one. So San Francisco, New York. Now again, I'm going to be identifying like some low-owned stacks or whatever, and some low-owned pitchers sometimes, and we're just going to have to differentiate between them. This game is to me is just kind of easy. Like Cole is a very good play. He's one of the top 3 pitchers I have on the board. I don't really have any interest in either of the hitting situations. I don't have either of them rated high at all. Now I know that Cole can give up some home runs and stuff like that, but I'm not going to take a shot with San Francisco. The Yankees are always kind of an interesting team to just always have some of. But Logan Webb, I mean, he's listen, you're getting all the aces for the first, you know what I mean, like the first day. You're getting all the aces, and then on the day two, you're getting the top two guys. You know what I mean? So don't expect all that much, especially in cold, in chilly weather, out of these first couple of slates from the hitters. But which also means that if you get a good performance out of the pit, you really want to get those good performances out of the pitcher. So I do like Cole, and I'm not much else from this game.
I have the Yankees the eighth stack, if I would consider, which means that they probably get left off for me. I think that, look, Logan Webb, I really believe is a really good pitcher, but he does tend to struggle to start the season a little bit. It's only 42 degrees, but you know who that doesn't matter to as a one-off? If you have the money, and you very well could have the money today, because there's a lot of value in weird spots. I think Aaron Judge is a phenomenal one-off type of play if you're doing like a 5-2-1. That's a guy who has both stolen base and home run upside. Obviously, 6,300. He's going to be very low owned, and my guess is if he gets off to any kind of start that indicates what he did last year, you're not going to ever see Aaron Judge at like 4% owned ever. I think this is an unusual spot where I think you actually might want to prioritize trying to get Judge in as a one-off, considering that Buxton and Acuna will be so high owned. I think that you can play Aaron Judge at 1/3, 1/4 the ownership, and I think that's just a really good play. That's my breakdown, and I think that Cole is a really good option. Do I buy that he's the best option? No. I actually have two pitchers I like better than him, but he's my fourth favorite pitcher, Garrett Cole. So that's where I've got him ranked right now.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
It's partly because I have a little bit of respect for San Francisco and their ability not to strike out. I also think if you're going to go, look, you're playing 150, you're scripting it out, get yourself 5% of Jock Peterson on the other side. And make sure you have 10% or at least of Aaron Judge. That's what I would say. But mostly a cross-off game outside of Cole for me. Other than that.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, so let's you ready to talk about? So let's talk about Atlanta and Washington, because this is where you're going to see heavy chalk. It's actually, this might be the lowest run total you ever see against Patrick Corbin in your life. Patrick Corbin, when he started last year, I mean, first of all, the guy, he was one of the all-time losing pitchers. He had lost 19 games. He was 6-19 last year. Every time he pitched, the run total was like 6 on the other side. You see a 4.68 against the best offense, arguably in baseball, one of the best offenses, certainly. But you've got 47-degree weather, a little bit of wind blowing in for a chalky lineup. I think we may need to get off the Braves here. That's my take. And I think I'm going to stick to it today. The Braves for me are they rate as being one of the, either them or Minnesota as the best stack. I think I am going to be underweight on the Braves and play use them as mini stacks only, even though my first builds did have Braves in it. What do you think about this one? I
have 4 teams that I'm going to be that rate. Well, I shouldn't say that. I have. We'll get to the stacks in a minute. I have Atlanta rated number 2, but own number 1. So I'm probably not going to prioritize them in my big buy. Just again, because that's just the way baseball works. You just especially consider I'm probably going to play kind of chalky pitchers. So if I'm going to do that, I'm not going to be probably prioritizing a 5-man Atlanta stack. And the thing is that on a slate like this, with the pricing so soft, everybody can play pretty much whoever they want. And because of that, the ownership is going to be even worse. Like they're going to really pound these guys. And listen, you need me to explain why Acuna is a good play? Like if he wasn't a good enough play already, now with the extra stolen base upside, you know what I mean? Like it's freaking ridiculous. But doesn't mean they have to do it. It doesn't mean that in a 100-game slate that a 30% owned stack you have to play. I don't have Max Fried as one of the top pitchers, but I'm not opposed to something like this as a low-owned option. Just because, again, we just talked about this when we did our Survivor Pool video, which I encourage everybody to look at. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Washington does stink, and Max Fried is a good pitcher, and maybe every once in a while he could put something up, and he puts up. Listen, I don't think this is the time of the season where he's going to pitch 9 innings, right? But But maybe I don't know, maybe not a different slate when there weren't all these other good options. You just take the Max Fried, you take the W, right? What are they, minus 300 to win, right? You take the W, you take the 6-7 inning, you take the quality start playing FanDuel, and then you just kind of be on your way. But I just don't think that the chances of making that ceiling, especially with the other possibilities, is probably good enough for me to get to him, especially in like a handful of lineups.
Right, and if you're insistent on playing an Atlanta stack, it's very important. In what we'll get to talk about as the season goes on. Play Matt Olson in the lefty-lefty matchup. Play Michael Harris at the bottom of the order, and Ozuna further down the order. Just do things to get a little bit off the board if you're going to play that stack. Play the same-handedness and play the bottom of the order as much as possible. Just a reminder to everyone. Yeah, you ready? So what do you got next? Baltimore, Boston?
Yeah, before I do that, I really wish we could figure out a good way to handle going back and forth between DraftKings and FanDuel, but I'll try to remember each when we go through it. I actually did have Cole a little bit better on FanDuel for some reason, even though he's more expensive there. I don't know why, but I have him rated a little bit higher over there. I'm not sure why. And as far as
the likelihood of him getting a quality start and pitching 6 innings is more than it is most pitchers. That's why.
Oh, okay.
So that's
just before I move on, let me just see how I have the stats rated, at least for the games that we just talked about. Atlanta's rates number 1, but not by much, and I see the ownership spread out a little bit more on FanDuel for some reason.
Yep.
So maybe you won't be like an ultra chalk donkey if you play them on FanDuel, but even still, I mean, it is going to be quite a lot of Atlanta exposure over there.
Yeah. And I think it's just going to be all over Atlanta over there, to be honest with you.
So I have Boston and Baltimore. You want me to start?
Yeah, sure. So this is a game where I don't like either pitcher. I am very, very open to the bats on both sides here. Like, the problem is 40 degrees. The good news is wind blowing out, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I do think Boston ends up pretty popular today, ish. You know what I mean? I have them currently ranked as the 4th stack. I actually have them ranked 3rd, but I wanted to adjust them because I think they're going to get a little bit of ownership. And I actually think that Baltimore is going to get quite a bit of ownership. So both of these stacks I like. I think I put as one of my core plays, and check it out. If you look at SaberSim through TrueDFS, SaberSim product, we've got Rody's core plays and my core plays up there. I will give away one. I have Gunnar Henderson as a core play. I think he makes the most sense as third base, shortstop eligible. He's going to be chalky, but he's a guy I like a lot as just a one-off or a part of a stack. But I mostly don't want to stack these teams mostly for the same reason. I think they're going to be fairly popular, and it's really cold. If I had to pick one side to stack, I think that Boston will be a little bit lower owned. I'm just a little nervous, like Justin Turner, and this guy's used to hitting in 80-degree weather in LA, but he's also used to hitting 340-foot fly balls, which seems to work out well in Boston. So I don't know. I just feel like both of these stacks I can make a good case for. The reason I'm sort of a little bit off of them is because of the ownership, and I like Boston slightly better than I like Baltimore. That's where I'm at.
So the way I look at stacks and baseball is especially on big slates, what you usually have is you'll have kind of like one or two obvious teams. And today it's Atlanta and Minnesota. And then there's always kind of like that pivot that everybody is going to play. Okay. And today, I think you hit it right on the head. I think the Boston and to some degree Baltimore, these are the teams that all the Weisenheimers out there are going to say, well, I'm not playing Atlanta. I'm not playing Minnesota. I'm going to load up on Boston. Okay, Baltimore. So what I actually like to do is I like to find the pivot off the pivot. Right? So I probably, while I agree that Boston is probably a decent play, I'm probably going to get even dumber than that. But listen, I have Boston rated just like you said. I have them rated 4th as well. But I do think they're going to be owned. Let me look through some of these guys and just make sure that I'm not missing. So this guy, how do you ever pronounce his name? Tristan Casas at 2,900. I mean, he looks particularly good there. Wow, Turner's on Boston. I did not even know that.
Yeah, the Dodgers are hilarious. Everybody who leaves Boston from the team that beat the Dodgers in the World Series, the Dodgers get, and everybody who leaves the Dodgers just in general, Boston picks up. But once they're over, once they're in the past, I mean, Boston, kind of sucks anyway. There's a lot of I just think that there's a lot of things to remember. Like when you play Boston, there's a lot more that, and they are always going to be a good hitting team at home because it's a phenomenal hitter's park. But they're more Boston in reputation than they are actually when you look at the players on the field. This is a pretty weak lineup overall. And I still kind of like them today a little bit because Gibson can give up some power. But the guys I'd be looking at would just be actually, I really like Yoshida. I'm interested to see how he does coming over. Yoshida and Cassis would be the two one-offs in this game if you're going to look that way, or maybe you play them together. But anyway, I just don't want to play the chalky stacks right off the bat. That's where I'm at. What are your thoughts with this Milwaukee? We know it's cold weather in Chicago. It basically always means that we're not going to play the game with a little bit of wind blowing in from right center. This is basically a cross-off game from the hitting, and I think that Corbin Burnes is one of the best pitching options on the slate. I have him a little bit ahead of Cole. Where do you have that one?
Yeah, so I have four kind of like top pitchers, and Burnes is I mean, look, a little worse than the other three, but not enough to make a difference. So I like that a lot, especially with the you told me the wind is going to be blowing in there. We've talked about this a lot, and you don't want. Listen, it's not like the real Wrigley wind. I don't think it's not going to be the big Kahuna, right? But you don't really want to mess with that. You don't want to mess with the wind blowing out. You don't want to mess with the wind blowing in. You really don't want to be contrarian. You could fade it, but I wouldn't go against it. Yeah. Like I wouldn't play the Cubs, like for example. What I might do, and I thought about it. I thought about playing Milwaukee, but like Stroman's good, sort of. You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah, he is. He's sneaky good.
So between the wind and the Stroman being sort of good, I don't think I can pull the trigger. Like as much as I want to like do something a little bit different, couldn't quite get there. So for me, it's just going to be Burnes, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I'm very curious whether the Milwaukee lineup is just absolutely god awful this year. I really don't know what their offense is going to be. I feel very, very conflicted on what I believe in that team. So I'm very cool with skipping the bats and playing Corbin Burnes. And Stroman, very good real life pitcher, not a guy we use for DFS, keeps the ball on the ground.
This looks like, this lineup doesn't look bad. Yelich, Adames, Tellez.
What is Yelich? Tellez is not a good. That's one of the worst number 3 hole hitters in baseball.
He's a 4.
He's batting third, isn't he?
No, Adames sitting third.
Oh, they changed it.
We got Winker. Winker's not bad.
Yeah, great. He played for Cincinnati. I don't remember when these guys play in Cincinnati. It doesn't mean they can really hit. It just means they're playing in a little bandbox.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, the Milwaukee lineup, it looks much more like okay, let's you got one great hitter, you got one great player in their lineup in Adames, and everybody else, including Yelich, is a question mark to me. I don't even know what he is anymore. If he's great, if he's good, or if he's terrible. He's one of those things.
All right.
All right. Yeah, Tampa Bay. I don't think I'm going to be alone in this. My favorite pitcher on the slate is Shane McClanahan. He's cheaper if that matters to you. I don't think it matters that much today because everybody's affordable. But just even as a raw points guy, I will this is the time to use him, right? This is what I was sort of talking about a little bit in our Survivor video. Use these guys when McClanahan is going to have a short leash, but Tampa Bay pitchers always have a short-ish leash. He's the one with actually some leash, but you're getting just a good value on him against the Detroit team that really couldn't hit lefties and righties last year. And there's not a whole lot to be that encouraged about that they're going to be able to this year. This is one of the worst teams in baseball in Detroit. And yeah, they should be a little better than they were last year. Miguel Cabrera isn't batting 30, he's batting 7th now, to give you some sort of indication that they're maybe a little bit better. But I don't think they're that much better. So Shane McClanahan, top of the priority list, because this game is indoors, and this is something we won't say much when it comes to the summer months. I want to stack the Rays because they are playing at home in the warm where everything else is cold outside today. I think that you're going to get a low-owned stack against Eduardo Rodriguez, who's an extremely volatile pitcher. I'm all on board with the Tampa Bay stack. I just wish I liked the guys who were actually in the lineup a little bit better than I do. But priorities being Arozarena, Wander Franco. Always tough with Brandon Lau against lefties, but maybe he only gets 2 at-bats against him, and he does still have enough power, even in the 7-hole where I'll play a little bit of him. But I'm on board with Tampa. Just beware when you stack Tampa. You're going to have some platoons. It's just always going to happen. I'm not even sure what's going to happen, how much will happen this year. But just beware when you play a righty who you don't feel like totally confident in against Eduardo Rodriguez, that there's definitely a chance that he could at least get pinch hit for, because we've just seen Tampa Bay do that every year. But I like Tampa Bay quite a bit as a stack today. How about you?
I will add Isaac Paradis is a beast. So I would say
in on the Paredes. I like it.
Yeah, I would say Franco, Paredes, Arozarena, 2, 3, 4 are really, really strong plays. Yeah, I mean, McClanahan, listen, McClanahan, Cole, Burns, and the guy we'll get to later are my 4. I don't know which one I'm going to pick in the big one. I honestly don't know. I guess McClanahan he right now rates as my favorite, so I'll probably end up playing him. So I pretty much agree with everything you said.
But what do you think the Tampa stack is a good one?
Yeah, like I said, Franco, Arozarena, and Paradis. It's going to be this is going to be one of the low-owned ones I'm gonna go after. It's going to be Tampa and 2 others, which we still haven't talked about.
Great. I'm in with you, and I did want to say that the Boston and Baltimore and the Braves, those are all, like I said earlier, I will use some of those players, but they'll all be in mini stacks only. I'm not trying to stack up the chalk stacks on opening day. Excuse me. I like that there's the slight stagger in a lot of these times, the start times. It's kind of interesting. Not all of them, but some of them. Philadelphia, Texas. I do want to make my point, Sheets, that I've been waiting a while to say. So, do you know who the most affected hitter in all of baseball is, as it relates to the shift?
Corey Seager,
by a long shot. Corey Seager, they say, lost 92. This is an incredible stat. I actually couldn't believe my ears. He lost 92 hits last year because of the shift. They're attributing it to. Those 92 hits make him one of the great seasons of all time. Like it's pretty incredible, actually. So Corey Seager, and on top of it, he was great anyway. Like it didn't, he may have cost him 92 hits, but I think there's a little bit of fear for some people to play DeGrom, which means, of course, DeGrom becomes a priority for me. I think Aaron Nola is an awesome pitcher. I'm probably not going to use him today. I have no issues if you wanted to use a low owned or not even low owned, a fairly lowish owned Nola, like in the teens probably. I'm in on DeGrom, and I don't really want to stack up anything here. I just wanted to make that point about Seager. How about you?
I got a couple of thoughts here. I think the Nola price is egregious. What do you think about that?
Why is it egregious compared to Shane? Like, why is it egregious compared to McClanahan or Snell? I mean, we saw Nola's a very good pitcher. Why is his price egregious? If Garrett Cole's 900 more than him, Garrett Cole's usually 2,000 more than him or 1,100 more than him.
Not. I mean, I'm just saying. Like I said, he's another guy with that's a good price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he does have an incredibly long leash, by the way.
He might have a tough time with win equity against DeGrom, but I don't know if I can do the DeGrom on 75 pitches. I know that on 75 pitches he could put up 40, whatever, but just don't know if I could do it on such a big slate. So that's going to be what. And then I can't prove he's going to have this only 75. That seems to be the rumor, right? 70, 75 pitches will come out.
Legitimately might be what we get from most guys today.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. They'll come out and get a big standing ovation. Texas spent all the money. He'll pitch 5 innings, take him out, get the win. If they can do it, you know what I mean. But what happens if it's 5? What happens if it's 0-0 through 5? Yeah,
I don't want to hear the DeGrom is the greatest anymore. Though it's funny because I even like to I'm taking sort of a different stance today. I'm actually playing him because I think perception is overweighting reality. But I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear about guys who pitch 7 games a season again being the best player in baseball. I don't want a basketball player who plays 10 games a year. Kevin Durant can't be in the conversation for best player in the NBA. These are not things that happen. You have to actually play the game in order to play the game. You can't go 5 years and pitch 20 games And oh my God, look how dominant he was in his only 4 starts of the season. Like, give me a break. I don't know. Like, Jacob deGrom, go out there, earn your money, and pitch every game and actually play baseball. I don't care about this. I'm just sick of it. I'm so sick of hearing about this guy. Sorry. And Kershaw, meanwhile, people try to criticize because he actually plays baseball. Like, he actually pitches games. It just infuriates me all the time with deGrom. It was definitely awesome. Don't get me wrong, but definitely I think, in my opinion, the most overrated player in baseball history, in recent history, in my opinion. So,
nonetheless, I'm probably not going to get to him. I'm probably not going to get to either stack. I will say that if you wanted to play a one-off of the aforementioned Corey Seager, I would not kill you for that. Nola can give up some home runs, so I have no problem with that. And then the other guy, it's maybe not for this slate, but Josh Jung is 2,800. That's
you with the young guys. She's bringing out the young guys. I love it.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be good last year, and then I think he showed up late, or I don't know what happened. But so Josh Jung is 2,800. So I don't think I'll get there. Man, who knows? Maybe, but just got to look out for in the future. So I'll probably end up losing because I probably won't play either of these pitchers. But you could say that every opening day, right? I mean, like whoever you fade, you're probably fading some good pitchers. So you're not allowed to, you're not allowed to complain when if you don't play deGrom and he puts up 40 in 5 innings. You're not allowed to complain when you don't play even any of these guys that put up good scores.
Yep. My guy Eric Johnson is back, and while he's not a premium member, he's been around for a long time. So I'll address a couple quick questions.
Dude, I might have to ban him because it doesn't come with premium membership.
Yeah, I know. Come on, get out of here with all these other nonsensical RG stuff. Anyway, Eric, to answer the real quick stuff on Snell. Snell is obviously a reasonably strong play tonight. We know that the risk of Snell. I don't think there's anything to add to Snell. Like, it's who he is. We know what he is. We know what that risk and reward is, and that's it. Like, he's a high upside, very very low downside guy, and that's what he is. But I think he's completely reasonable as a play, and there's nothing wrong with. You play crazy. You're playing Patrick Corbin. Yeah, I think your baseball approach is severely off. Basically, Eric does the same thing every time. He stacks against the pitcher that's the biggest favorite, and you just don't need to go that extreme. You can find the middle ground and still get the same low ownership. You don't need to stack against Garrett Cole today for it to be a good play, and you don't need to play Pat Corbin. There's just you're not getting anything out of that play. So. Yes, I think that is a terrible play.
Eric doesn't actually stack against the top pitcher. He just talks about stacking against the top pitcher.
He does probably doesn't. He doesn't do it in his bigger buy-ins. He probably just does it in his small buy-ins, and then that's what we get the pictures of.
But the fact you brought it up, I mean, like maybe we don't get into it today, but the idea of getting leverage in baseball is an interesting one. You don't have to, like, if you think a pitcher is going to be like really really chalky, you don't have to play the hitters against him to get leverage. I mean, you could just play different pitchers in the price range and get leverage. Like, for example, so you don't have to like be a freaking hero about it. You could just fade him. You just fade him.
Yeah, and if you're playing 150 lineups, I don't want to hear about one of your lineups. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Otherwise, you're going to get roadied. You're going to identify that one lineup to say, why don't you play that in a single entry? Right?
Yeah, I would have won the single entry. Oh, great, cool.
So Minnesota, Kansas City. So you know what? We have another season, and you know what's going to be another season of people getting frustrated, targeting Zach Greinke, right? Trying to stack teams against Zach Greinke, and getting all frustrated when he loads the bases with nobody out and gives up one run. And it's probably going to be another season of Sheets going overweight on Kansas City every day. So we'll see.
Your favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. It's the industry's favorite thing to go after Zach Greinke, and it's my favorite thing to play Kansas City hitters. So I think that both things are going to happen. I think people are going to play Minnesota against Greinke, and I'm not going to argue with it. It's I have them as probably my top stack if you want to know the truth.
Yep.
But like I said. Ownership matters, and I'm going to talk about Kansas City as my low owned stuff. Let's start off the.
Let's start off with what I thought you were going to say the exact opposite. I just want to throw something out there. Pablo Lopez is a really good pitcher. Like this is like this is maybe not a true number one, which maybe why he stands out. I think Kansas City is like the trendy team everybody's talking about today because that's all I've heard. I just want to throw out there, Pablo Lopez, actually a really, really, really good pitcher. This guy, everybody's tried to stack against him for years. It's never worked, never ever. Just want to throw that out there that he's a much better pitcher than he gets credit for. Having said that, I totally understand why you like them. And I do have Minnesota, who I think, I think they should be higher on than the other guys, and they're not. So that makes them my number one stack. I think that they have a perfect combination of power and speed in their lineup, starting off with Buxton, going all the way through. And I don't see anybody projected in double digits except for Buxton on their lineup, and even him barely in double digits. I also think that fade Carlos Correa and play Minnesota is going to be my theme of the day. I love Minnesota today.
Minnesota is definitely the top one for me, but I will listen. But I'll start off the stolen base parade with Bobby Witt Jr. Maybe we'll see what see what ends up happening.
Yeah. No. That's partly what I like about KC is that's why the stack makes sense because they're going to be able. You're going to have some. So you have some guys who can run, and you have some guys with tremendous power that are just huge strikeout guys who have tremendous power.
I would also like to say that again, I keep threatening to do this every year. Maybe I will this year. So I have this kind of like this leverage score stack thing, which I still never figured out how to display. That it's been pretty good to me actually. And the two teams I have this week that listen, take it for what it's worth, that have the best kind of like overall leverage, like how I rate them versus their projected ownership, is actually Kansas City and the aforementioned before, take it for what it's worth, was Milwaukee. Like the terrible lineup against the decent pitchers, and the bad weather. So let's take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. All right, so we got to speed it up a little bit because I've got to actually build my lineups at some point.
Well, we got to take a little time with this next one though, because
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Because I have Cincinnati rated number 3 overall.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense.
I have them rated number 3 overall, and I also, when I run SaberSim builds, I'm getting some Pittsburgh. However, I also want to get your take on your invention of your Hunter Green invention. We've for a 5-13 guy, I feel like I played him 13 times. But he's got that upside. Like look at his fantasy points. He's got like incredible upside. And
tremendous upside.
And the park isn't great, to say the least, but the weather is not great either for hitting. And maybe this is the year. Maybe who's to say Hunter Green isn't 10-6 within like 2 months? Who knows?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you about Hunter. I mean, Hunter Green is incredibly talented. I can't say I invented him, considering he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a teenager. Clearly one of the most talented pitchers in baseball. Going to take him a little bit to get it together. I don't know if this is going to be the year. Definitely a great tournament play. I'm not crazy about playing him when he's double-digit owned because I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities to play him in the single digits. But I think that taking. I mean,
you think people are playing him?
What?
You think people are going to play him when they got McClanahan at 7,700?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think everybody knows who Hunter Green is in baseball. I really do. And his strikeout upside is. I mean, I didn't go through my K props today yet, but I would imagine that he's right there with the other guys. So, and it's Pittsburgh, and the wind's blowing in a little bit. I mean, just everything about it. I just think it's a little bit, but it is 61 degrees, which sounds weird to say, but that's actually like warmer than it. Like we were talking about 40-degree temperatures. Now we're talking about 60 degrees. It's a little bit warmer in Cincinnati. Great hitters park, obviously. You can hit the ball all the time there. I like Cincinnati as a stack. I don't think Keller's as bad maybe as people think he is, but I do think Cincinnati as a stack makes some sense. Wish I liked their lineup a little bit better. I just like stacking in a stadium. They're kind of like, it's kind of a weird lineup to stack. So I'm looking more at a mini stack for Cincinnati, maybe more on FanDuel where they're super cheap. And it feels like they always were last year too, by the way, right? Like, don't you remember like Cincinnati was always like 2K on FanDuel?
That's why I wanted to turn around with Cincinnati last year.
There you go. So, hey, why not start it off the same way again? So Cincinnati is definitely on my list of stacks, specifically Friedel, Fraley. Those would be my favorites, I guess. All right. What about your?
Well, at least I found one that I think we could go through quickly. Toronto, St. Louis. I don't have anything. You have anything?
Toronto, St. Louis. Oh, I think Toronto is like my fourth stack.
Ooh.
Fifth stack, sorry. Yeah, I just you have a power right-handed team. I am like I'm on the train of where I've always been the one who's Mikolas is a good pitcher who doesn't do much but he gives up some hard contact and he stays right around the plate. Maybe it's more of a 3-man stack, but Toronto is definitely a stack I would like to get. You also have in St. Louis today, you have 13-mile-an-hour winds blowing out and 69-degree temperatures, which is like 95 degrees basically because it's so cold everywhere else. So I am completely on board with my top of the lineup: Springer, Bichette, Guerrero. I even like Varsho going down through the lineup. Kirk, Belt. Like I like this lineup, and I think that maybe not as a full stack against Mikolas because I have some respect for him, but I do think that Toronto is being overlooked today. So yes, they are up there for me.
So I used to think we go to the Mets game. I used to think that Zach Greinke was like the oddest, like weirdest, like whatever is going on in his brain pitcher in the world. I just want to ask you a question. Why is Max Scherzer insisting on pitching 100 pitches in a freaking minor league game? Like in his last preseason game, he pitched 100 freaking pitches.
Yeah,
I mean, it's craziness.
Yep. Yeah, he's number one for me. He and McClanahan are number 1 in 1A. That's it for this game. I think you could argue for Alcantara. Alcantara is one of the best pitchers in baseball and gets no respect really.
No,
from regular baseball fans. I have no interest in any of the hitting in this game, and I love Max Fried. I'm sorry, I love Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I have him rated lower just because of his price. I mean, I have McClanahan just rated just a little better, and I have Cole rated a little better, but I honestly don't know why. Now that I think about it, you know, like I mean, Scherzer's in Miami. I mean, Cole's definitely facing a better team. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Scherzer is best. Maybe it is Scherzer McClanahan. I gotta revisit that.
Well, I just love the leash, man. I can't get over the leash.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what? Everybody else can have their DeGrom and your 5 starts a year. I'll give me Max Scherzer, who goes out and throws 125 pitches every start. That's my kind of guy.
Okay, so, five hours later, you have what I think is the second best pitcher. So, I don't know what to tell you. I have Snell. The way I have it rated right now, I have McClanahan 1, and then Cole, and then Snell. Right. So I mean, Snell is 7,900 at home against Colorado. I don't know. That just sounds good to me. I don't know what else to say. And then hitting wise, let me see if I can get to San Diego. Yeah, I mean, I could play San Diego. They're going to be owned, but not that bad. Yeah, I mean, I like that. So let's just like not count anybody's money until Eric gets his Blake Snell and San Diego stack home. I think that's very nice.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with San Diego and with Snell. Will I have the patience to do it?
I know, right? That's right.
Do I want to play something a little bit earlier in the day?
Yeah.
For what it's worth, he's like the numbers are actually pretty. I mean, we got a large sample. Oh, not that large actually, sample size, but a decent sample size because he's played these guys. You know, he's pitched against these guys for a while. Marquis has been pretty good against San Diego for what it's worth. And remember, half of those games are in Colorado, and the guy's actually somehow weirdly been like just as good in Colorado as he's been on the road, which is very hard for me to figure out. But yeah, San Diego certainly looks like a reasonable stack. Marquis is not a true number 1. So I think San Diego and Snell are both options. I think I have Snell a little lower than you do, but I'm totally open to him. You know what I mean? And maybe I have him a little lower because there's some like yesterday there was a little bit of risk of rain. It looks like now it's beautiful and clear. I'm just judging up here and I'm looking at the weather there. It looks like it's pretty good. It's 53 degrees in a good pitcher's park. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with Snell. Just a reminder, the Rockies are better against lefties than they are against righties, et cetera, et cetera. But I think you got a great stack in San Diego there. You've got some, I mean, talk about like some real talent, like Bogart, Soto, Machado, Cronenworth. Then it kind of dips off a little bit, but I'd like to know where these guys are hitting or if they're even playing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's the thing. You better listen. If you better know what's going on before 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and I don't think you will. For what it's worth.
You could literally almost get boxed out of a lineup. You know what I mean? Like if you play like 5 Padres, for example.
Yeah.
And let's say Bogarts gets ruled out somehow. He's not. These guys will.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the hammer. So I have my stacks just real quick to wrap it up. Minnesota is my most popular for my most owned probably, but then it will be a combination of Tampa Bay, San Diego, Toronto, and Cincinnati. My pitchers are going to be almost exclusively McClanahan, DeGrom, Nola, and Scherzer and Snell, with a little bit of Hunter Green and I forgot to mention Burns, with a little bit of Hunter Green mixed in. But it's going to be 6 pitchers basically for me and 4 or 5 stacks that I'm running out there, but mostly focused on Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Toronto, San Diego. I honestly am still trying to juggle the order, so it's going to depend on how I can fit them in.
So we'll do another day. I'll walk through my actual process building lineups. I'm just going to tell you guys what I'm going to be doing. Like I'm going to play 30 lineups in the MME, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mixture of letting SaberSim build for me and kind of forcing stuff. So I'm going to run like a SaberSim build, but if I get like too much Atlanta, I'm gonna X them out, but I'm gonna screw around. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not interested in way too much exposure in that type of tournament with Atlanta. And then in my big buy-ins, again, I'm just gonna probably, I'm gonna think about it. Like it's either gonna be Minnesota if I get wimpy, right? Or Boston, Baltimore if I get a little bit more wimpy, or if I'm really in the mood, I'll do something like Kansas City or even Pittsburgh or something like that. So we're just gonna see. This is not gonna be the greatest process show for me, but I'm feeling my own way through the first day as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going through it again, but I think that was pretty good. I think we touched on some things. I feel like it's coming back to me naturally. As far as mini slates go, we'll do our best, and I'll try to do my best to get everything done for that stuff. But I'm going to be focused more on main slates. Rody's also going to be doing some weekend stuff this year, so we're going to have that covered at least in part for you guys. And we're just improving everything as we go. Always give us your feedback, and we want to improve the product and make it as best we can.
Tomorrow, I am gone for the weekend, starting at about noon. So if there's stuff that I could post before noon, I'll do it. But otherwise, just presume, as usual, just presume I'm gone. But if I could sneak in some projections, I sneak in some whatever. We got Goldie doing baseball now, right? So I don't hear it. I'll probably be able to get some of the ancillary sports up there, but there's no MMA this weekend, and hopefully we get off to a good start this weekend.
Yeah, good luck to everybody, and let's crush it today. Good luck, guys.
So I'll see you at 4, Bobby. Is that what our thing is?
Our thing is at 2.
2 are my time?
2 your time.
Oh, okay. Did you send me a thing though, or no?
You got yeah. I can send it again. It's we have the State Kings thing is at 2.
Hang on, let me see if it's in my calendar.
Yeah, you didn't for some reason you didn't add it.
I have it right here.
Okay.
I'm going to respond right now just so you see our respondent.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect. I'll see you in a few.
All right, bud. Bye.